Thanks so much for joining us today for our webinar. Today, we're going to be talking about goal setting and decision making. So we're going to be kind of going over the different strategies to kind of set goals, setting realistic and achievable goals, which is a really big aspect, and using goals to kind of guide decision making down the road. This is going to be hosted by my colleague, Evelyn Sullivan, and I'll go ahead and pass it on over to her.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Hello and welcome everyone to Goal Setting and Decision Making, a webinar provided by Tutor.com. My name is Evelyn Sullivan and I'm the Director of Onboarding at Tutor.com. I've been a part of the Learning Services team at Tutor.com for over 15 years. And in addition to that, I've been a jack of all trades, helping others to learn various creative tools and skills. I consider myself a lifelong learner, particularly in the areas of artistic expression and self-improvement. Student success is at the core of Tutor.com's mission, and goals are at the core of my role in that I have to make sure we have enough tutors to staff our service 24/7 in over 200 subjects to help as many students as we can find success. Today, we will discuss a topic that is integral to student success, goal setting, specifically how to set goals and how habits and decisions can lead to goal attainment. So why do we set goals? Well, goals increase our motivation as long as they are well within our reach and we believe in our ability to attain them. Goals give us focus and purpose. Setting goals determines a clear pathway to success. Goals, when they're good, can prevent us from becoming overwhelmed, frustrated, or discouraged. Reaching toward our goals lessens our feelings of being disheartened and encourage us to spend time on activities that contribute to our goals. If any of you have been in a place where you're feeling discouraged, maybe you felt like you're stuck, then you know what it feels like when you don't see the clear path to something better. Well, goals help create that path. Goals also boost self-confidence. When you start making progress toward achieving your goals, it's a big confidence boost and you can continue to set more ambitious goals. Goals help you to measure your progress. Seeing how far you've come and how much is left to do motivates you to continue working. And lastly, goals provide a challenge. To me, there's nothing worse in life than just phoning it in every day, one task to the next. Nothing's exciting. I'm not feeling a sense of accomplishment. Well, that's why goals are important for everyone. Every January, we hear about New Year's resolutions. Some people get all motivated to reach a new goal, and the research says that by the second week in February, 80% of people have given up. Why is that? It's because New Year's resolutions are generally not specific enough, and they're often too grand. Remember that if you can't see the progress toward your goal, then it becomes discouraging and overwhelming. One of the best practices for setting goals is to know your priorities. What really matters to you? Also, make sure you've clearly identified why you want this goal. Is it really what you want? Do you know exactly why you feel it's so important? Accept that big goals, like getting a degree, for example, or working hard to achieve a promotion, require sacrifices. And if you don't accept that up front, then you'll easily give up when the going gets tough. Know exactly what is required to achieve your goal. In 2019, I set a goal for myself to complete the New York City Marathon, strong, smiling, and injury-free. This took over 20 weeks of training, which meant that a lot of my time after work and during weekends was spent outside logging miles or building my strength or recovering. It was so satisfying to achieve my goal, even at my glacial pace, but I'm well aware that if I didn't go in with a plan to prepare my body and my mind with a strategy for race day, I would not have been able to do so. If you're going to commit to something, know how much time it's going to take, know what it's going to cost, know what you're requiring from yourself and from your family. Gather your support team. Get your family and friends on board and let them know you're going to need them to cheer you on. In the past, my family and I have leaned on each other to do a healthy eating challenge. We had a group chat where we would text pictures and recipes to each other. Well, as a student, Consider an in-person or virtual study group. Hold each other accountable. Commiserate when things are tough and you have to buckle down. Having that support can help you stick with it. Write your goals down. If they're in your head, you're more likely to manipulate them as you go. Writing them down makes them concrete. And don't forget to put that goal in a place where you'll see it and be motivated by it. Be flexible with yourself. At the start of 2022, I thought, maybe I'd like to go for another big race this year. I started slowly building a plan, but as I thought about it, the idea of logging all those miles stressed me out. Well, I had to set a new goal. I decided instead to really dial in my nutrition to help set me up for longevity and to find an exercise program that would help me reduce stress, not add to it. Know that if life changes, you might have to adjust your goals. Mentally prepare yourself to meet your goals. Ensure that you actually feel motivated by them. If you write your goal down and you feel nothing but dread, think about it again. And don't forget to reevaluate often. Look at the goal. Make sure it's still relevant and meaningful to you, and make sure you're still making progress. So with all that said, this is how you write a goal. SMART goal setting is a proven method for setting goals that are specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. Let's dig into what each of these mean. So specific. I want to go to college is not specific, but I will submit 5 college applications by November 30th is. I'm going to start going to the gym isn't specific at all, but I will go to the gym 2 nights a week and once on the weekend for the next 8 weeks. Well, that's specific, and you know exactly what you're going to do and how you're going to do it, and you can also measure it. Measurable means that it's something you can look at and know that you met it. So, I'm going to get good grades isn't measurable because what is good? You can manipulate that any way you want and settle for something that isn't really what you intended. But I'm going to get 3 A's and 2 B's this semester, or I'm going to get at least a 90% on every bio test this semester. Those goals are specific and measurable. I'll definitely know if I met my goal. Goals need to be attainable. This is true. This was a goal of a colleague's former student. I'm going to become a millionaire, move to San Diego, and buy a Lamborghini. Now, is that attainable? Sure, but it's really a dream and less of a goal. And it's okay to dream. You should have dreams and then set your goals as stepping stones to get there. So maybe he could start with something like this. After graduation, I will find an entry-level tech job in San Diego. He's moving, he's getting his first job. It won't be easy. San Diego is expensive and getting a first job in tech can be challenging, but it's attainable. Your goals have to be relevant to your life goals. So the mom in this picture says, I will move to Timbuktu where I will start my own nonprofit education company. And her husband's like, hey lady, you've got 2 kids here. That's not exactly in line with what we set to do out as a family. So how about I will find a job working in the nonprofit education space in my hometown. That's not to say her original goal isn't a good dream. It might be, but it's also not relevant to her life at the moment. Relevance makes a lot of sense when you set SMART goals for your workplace. For example, if your boss asks you to set a SMART goal and you work in the IT department, you're not going to set a sales goal. It's not relevant to your job. And every year, I set SMART goals relating to the number of new tutors I'd like to bring on, as well as how those numbers spread across the subjects we offer. So relevance means being relevant to your job, or for personal goals, think of it as being aligned to your life goals, your family, your health, etc. Time-bound. This means you've set a goal and you've given yourself a time limit to reach it. It's not just that you're going to graduate college, you're going to graduate with a degree in HR management in May of 2026. It's not just that you're going to lose 10 pounds, you're going to lose 10 pounds by September 30th. If you give your goal an end date, it's more motivating than if it's just out there for you to achieve one day in the future. So if you have a big goal, consider little checkpoints along the way. When I was training for a half marathon, I had all the training days and activities on one sheet. And each time I completed the day's training, I gave myself a foil star on the sheet. And seeing those stars stack up made me proud and gave me confidence to carry with me on race day. Having a visual reminder of all the work you put in really gives you a boost. Perhaps you can post the class syllabus or list out all the chapters you'll read in a class. And each time you finish that lesson or chapter, you could cross it off or give yourself a star. Here are some good examples of SMART goals written to be specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. I will take 2 classes a semester, pass all of the general CLEP exams, and use my military experience credits to earn my associate's degree in liberal arts by next December. I will follow my training and nutrition plan for the next 3 months so I can complete the hot chocolate half marathon on November 30th in less than 3 hours. I will study 2 hours a day for the next month to prepare for the SAT exam that I'm scheduled to take on April 10th. You're going to leave this webinar and you're going to write your SMART goals, and then what? Well, set yourself up for success. Think of the tools, apps, blogs, people that may help you be successful. At some point, I decided I wanted to learn Korean. I looked into programs that were affordable and could help. Step 1 was completing an introductory course online that taught a few basics of vocabulary and grammar, speech only. I started listening to podcasts to expand that knowledge. I even had a few colleagues from Korea that I could ask questions and practice sentences with. Then I decided to use the Duolingo app so I could learn to read, write, and speak the language. I planned to complete at least 1 lesson every day for a year and set short sprint goals for myself to reach a certain checkpoint within 3 months. I set myself up with a plan and the tools to be successful, and while I'm nowhere near fluent, I am proud of the knowledge I've built over the 600-day streak I have going so far. There is an app for tracking your goals. In fact, there are lots of them. Here are 2 that are helpful: Strides and Habitable. Both allow you to set goals, big or small, and track your success. These are great for all kinds of goals, and I encourage you to give these a try. This leads us into changing our habits. Goal setting usually requires some change in our behavior. So we need to get rid of bad habits and perhaps replace them with something better. It's easier to replace a habit than to get rid of it completely. Figure out what habit you want to replace. Figure out what triggers get you into that habit. Do you get bored? Do you get hungry? Are you tired? Are you depressed? In early 2020, I went from commuting every day and oftentimes having after-work activities to being at home 100% of the time. I found myself sleeping late, rolling out of bed to log on to the computer, work, and then I was so fatigued after work, I just rolled over to the couch to watch TV until I got sleepy. Coffee was really the only thing to look forward to in the morning. I wanted to change that. I wanted to feel like the day was mine. So instead of sleeping late, I set a goal to try to establish a morning routine and stick with it for at least a month. I woke up earlier and did a 5 to 20 minute yoga video, depending on how I was feeling. And after yoga, I would reward myself with the coffee and read a chapter of a good book. Depending on the day, I'd have time for a short walk after I read, or to take a quick trip to the grocery store or drop off laundry. I still do this morning routine every day, and I love how it sets up my day and my mind in a positive direction. And more importantly, well, as I said, it sets the mindset that the day is mine to do with what I will, even if it includes work. Whatever you'd like to try, remember to give yourself 66 days to get into this new habit, and that's how long, on average, it takes to form a new habit. Creating new habits is all about starting simple and small. You don't want to try and change everything about your day all at once. Start with one small habit that you want to replace and go easy on yourself when you slip up. Take it one day at a time. Always take note of why you missed your habit. That may be a trigger, and your triggers have to be identified in order to address the reason why you have the bad habit. For example, if you feel the need to scarf down junk food every time you talk to your parents on the phone, well, then you know that conversation with your parents is your trigger. Plan accordingly. Don't always rely on willpower because we all have weak moments. For example, if your new habit is to eat healthy snacks, then keep unhealthy snacks out of your home so that you'll be less likely to give in to temptation when your willpower is weak. If your new habit is to replace studying with your usual video game time, you might need to move the video game console out of the room during the week. Also, think about how you can set a cue for that new habit. So rather than saying to yourself, I would like to replace my video game time with study time, think about a cue that you can set up for yourself like this. Every night when I finish cleaning up my dinner, I'll make myself a cup of tea and then I will walk into my room to begin studying. Clearing your plate and making the tea are your cues. I think of them as your transitions. They're transitioning you into your new habit, which is now going to be studying. Make these new cues too. If you always grabbed a cup of tea and then you went to play video games, then that cue's the wrong one. You need to do something different. So we talked about goals, we talked about habits. Now let's talk about decisions. It's all connected because decisions lead to your goal attainment and decisions help you make new habits. It's nearly impossible to reach your goals if you don't have good decision-making capabilities. Well, first of all, cut down on needless decision-making by jotting down your top priorities for the day and ensuring you tackle those first. This way, your most important decisions get done when your energy and willpower is at its highest. In order to make as many decisions as you can at the beginning of the day, try packing your lunch and laying out your outfit the night before. So when you jump into the day, you don't have to think as much. Limit decisions as much as you can. Because the phenomenon called decision fatigue, there's a limit on how many decisions you can make effectively over the course of a day. As you make more and more choices, your brain starts looking for shortcuts, which can result in impulsive decision-making on the one hand, or failure to make decisions on the other. Procrastination, I'll tackle this later. Impulsivity, I don't know what to do, I'll just do this. Avoidance, I can't deal with this right now. And indecision, I can't make up my mind. Relying on good habits and routines is one way to conserve your willpower and limit your decisions. Spending the least possible effort making choices about things that aren't priorities is another. And when you have a big decision to make, be sure to make it when you're well-fed and rested. So when you're a student and you're working, maybe you have to take care of younger siblings or a parent or whatever it may be, and you know you have a lot of choices to make over the span of your day. When to study, when to finish that project, what to write your paper about, what to eat, when to practice, when to hang out with your friend who keeps texting you, on and on and on. Make the little decisions easier on yourself by scheduling ahead of time. Maintain routines, so the constant decision-making is done ahead of time. Sound familiar? It's so much easier to stay on course when all you have to do is look at a list or look at your calendar and complete what's right there already decided for you. Like I told you before about the tea and the studying, the decision is out of the question. The decision was made already. You study after dinner, it becomes your routine. Even if you don't have an assignment to work on and you're all caught up in all your classes, stick to the routine anyway. Check your calendar, make sure you don't have any messages from your instructors, check your grades, then reward yourself with a video game. You're on track. This also means having strict and clear rules about certain things, such as when you'll go to sleep, when you'll shower, when you practice, etc. The best way to set yourself up for success is to get into a routine, schedule yourself, take decisions out of the equation if you can, and just make the decision once. Set your study schedule and map out exactly what you're going to do each day of the week at the beginning of the week. You're more likely to complete something that's difficult or less enticing when there's no unknowns and no decisions to be made. Lastly, when you're thinking about setting goals, don't underestimate the power of music to motivate and inspire. Is there a song that pumps you up and makes you feel invincible? Music is a powerful tool, so I encourage you to get your theme song going. How do you actually achieve those goals you wrote for yourself? Well, first you believe in yourself, and then you accept responsibility for your goals. Know that you have the power to achieve them. When you get off track, get right back on. Skip the excuses. Excuses don't help. Just identify what the problem was and move forward. Think positive thoughts and envision yourself at the finish line. Do it. See yourself there. Think about what that degree or that certificate or that test score is going to do for you in your life. Don't get too caught up in the journey, the stress, or the sacrifice without thinking about that finish line. So let's go back and tie all of this together. Setting goals means that you start smart. Get some apps to help you track your goals and set you up for success. Change your bad habits and start new ones that help you get to that goal. Limit your decisions throughout the day so you have the energy to focus on what's important, and that's your family, your work, your school, and your health. Find your theme song that motivates you to reach your goal, and always envision your success. Picture yourself in that cap and gown or sitting in that corner office. And these are the references. A special shout out to my colleague, Dr. Amy Dietzman, who curated the research and co-wrote the script. And thank you very much. Thank you for listening. You could find us online or watch more student success webinars.
Awesome. Thank you so much. You did a wonderful job presenting, and there was a lot of really great information. We actually did get a couple of questions, but before we get to the questions, there were just two things that I wanted to mention. Again, if you do have any questions about any of the content that we discussed today, just let us know. There is a question box and we'll be able to answer those. And yes, please do follow us on our socials, just because you'll get information about any other upcoming webinars that we have going on, and including the next upcoming one, which I believe is becoming a confident writer. So there's going to be a lot of great information. Just follow us and you'll be able to get all of that. So Evelyn, one of the questions that we kind of saw was, we discussed a little bit about long-term goals, but how much do you recommend breaking those goals down? So for example, if your goal is to go back to school and then move states, how far down should you be breaking that up?
Yeah, I mean, they're almost like two different giant goals. I absolutely recommend any long-term goal be broken down, because we don't have the capacity to maintain energy and just see from the start to the end of that goal, boom. It has to be broken up. So this way we feel motivated. It keeps our motivation going. It keeps our energy and our willpower going. So for, what was the first part of that? It was, I know moving states was the second part, but what is the first one?
The first part was going back to school.
Going back to school. Yeah. So I would say you want to make the going back to school part specific first, right? So even if you don't know what degree you want to pursue yet or what school you want to go to, then that's your starting point, right? Take one of those, and that is your first big goal. So I'm going to research 5 colleges this month, and I'll send applications to my top 3. Or I will look online or go to the library and ask for help exploring what kind of career would I be best suited for, or I would best enjoy, and determine some resources of how to pick a major, that kind of thing. So I think it's fine if you just want to tack on your wall, I will go back to school. but definitely start breaking down all the big chunks of what that will entail. And then each one of those chunks, you're going to break down into your to-dos. So I hope that helped.
I think that does really help. And then the second one was you discussed kind of decision fatigue and
Mm-hmm.
all of that. What about kind of fatigue from not hitting your goals? Um, do you have any information or advice in that regard?
Sure. And I think there could be two things at play. It could be fatigue from not hitting the goal, or it could be fatigue from doing too much in pursuit of a goal that wasn't crafted to be as specific enough that could be carried. Um, if that makes sense, right? Maybe your goal was too nebulous, too unclear, or too large for you to hit it, right? The perfect example are those New Year's resolutions. When we don't get specific and we don't tailor it to something we could actually achieve, that's when the lack of motivation happens. That's when the deflation happens. That's when, you could get burnt out because you're like, why am I doing this? What am I doing this for? Um, Fatigue could also set in. Maybe it's not the right goal for you anymore. Maybe that's why you're not achieving it because, you need to adjust course and find something that's better aligned to what you want from your life right now.
Definitely. That does make a lot of sense.
And the last point, I know I talked a lot about, schedule time, take decisions out of the equation, make sure you map out your day. Well, that should include stuff that is absolutely 0% related to your schoolwork. Go outside, you know, take a few deep breaths and do a short 5-minute yoga video, socialize, make plans with your friends, have like a coffee chat every week with somebody that really motivates you or relaxes you. It's not just about the goal. It's not just about, I have to do this, 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 this. You need to take care of yourself to get things, to get through life.
Yeah, that's actually a really great point, and you can probably use that in just about in really a lot of these kind of topics that we're going to be discussing in these different webinars. But it does look like that's about it in terms of the questions. The last question I saw was, will this presentation be sent out so that they can share it with others? And yes, there will be a follow-up email that is sent out, and it will include a recording of today's webinar, so you can share that or review it at any time if you just kind of want to go over the different points of goal setting and decision making. But again, please feel free to follow us on socials. That way you can get up-to-date information about any of our upcoming webinars. But thank you all so much and have a wonderful day. And thank you, Evelyn, for presenting such an amazing presentation.
My pleasure. Have a great day, everyone.